My neighbor called at 11:15 on a Tuesday night. I was sitting in the den watching the Leafs lose again, half asleep with a cup of tea going cold on the armrest. "Harold," she said, and I could hear something wrong in her voice right away. "I just saw your daughter-in-law at the Shoppers on Lakeshore. She was with a man. They were signing papers in his car in the parking lot. I almost didn't say anything. But Harold, she was using your name. I heard her say Chicken Harold Mitchell, power of attorney, and I thought you should know." I put my tea down. My hand was steady, but something inside me shifted. Something I hadn't felt in years. "What man?" I asked. "Older. Gray beard. Nice coat." I didn't recognize him. I thanked her. I told her not to worry. I hung up and sat in the dark for a long time. "My name is Harold Mitchell. I am 66 years old. I built Mitchell Property Management from nothing, starting with a single duplex in Scarborough when I was 23 and working my way up to 14 rental units across the GTA, a cottage on Lake Muskoka, and a house in Etobicoke that my wife and I paid off in 2004. My wife, Catherine, passed away 6 years ago. Pancreatic cancer. 8 weeks from diagnosis to funeral. After she died, I kept working because I didn't know what else to do. My son Kevin was all I had. Kevin was 38, a good man, or so I believed. He married a woman named Jeanette 4 years ago. She was charming, well-spoken, and she called me Dad from the second week. They gave me a granddaughter, Lily, who just turned 3. When Jeanette suggested they move into the main floor of my house so they could help me and I could be close to Lily, I said yes without thinking twice. That was 18 months ago. That was my first mistake. I didn't sleep that night. I lay in bed staring at the popcorn ceiling and replayed every small thing I had ignored. Jeanette asking about my rental income. Jeanette offering to help me with paperwork because my eyes were getting tired. Jeanette suggesting I should let Kevin handle the banking because it was too much stress for a man my age. Kevin nodding along every time she spoke. Kevin, who never once asked about my finances in 38 years, suddenly interested in property tax assessments and insurance renewals. I got up at 5 in the morning, made coffee, and sat at the kitchen table with a yellow legal pad. I wrote down everything I remembered, every conversation, every request, every time Jeanette touched a document in my office, every time Kevin said, "Dad, maybe you should slow down." By the time the sun came up, I had 3 pages of notes. I called my lawyer at 8 sharp. Gerald Fung. We had been working together for 22 years. He drafted Catherine's will, handled all my property acquisitions, set up my corporation. I trusted him with my life. "Gerald, I need to see you today. It's urgent." He heard it in my voice. "Come in at 10. I showered, shaved, put on a clean shirt, and drove downtown. Gerald's office was on the 14th floor of a building on University Avenue. He met me with 2 coffees from the Tim Hortons downstairs. I sat across from his desk and told him everything. The phone call from my neighbor. The things I had been ignoring. The feeling in my gut that something was very wrong. Gerald listened without interrupting. When I finished, he picked up his phone and made 3 calls. 1 to the land registry office, 1 to my bank at TD, 1 to a private investigator named Sanjay Rao whom he had used on fraud cases before. Then he looked at me. "Harold, I'm going to check everything today. Every property title, every account, every document with your name on it. If something has been moved or changed without your knowledge, I will find it. But I need you to do something difficult." "What?" "Go home. Act normal. Don't let them know you suspect anything. If they find out, they will cover their tracks." I nodded. I understood. I drove home. Jeanette's car was in the driveway. I went inside. She was in the kitchen making lunch for Lily. "Hi, Dad. You were out early. Dentist appointment." I lied. "Everything okay with your teeth?" "Just a cleaning." She smiled. Lily ran to me, and I picked her up. She smelled like apple juice and crayons. I held her tight. Whatever was happening, this child was innocent. Gerald called me at 4 that afternoon. I was in my den with the door locked. "Harold, sit down." "I'm sitting." 3 weeks ago, someone filed a power of attorney document at the land registry office using your name. It authorizes the transfer of two of your properties, the duplex on Kingston Road and the semi on Danforth Avenue. The transfers are in progress. The receiving name is a numbered company. 2, 8, 4, 7, 6, 3, 1. Ontario Incorporated. I never signed any power of attorney. I know. I compared the signature to your files. It's forged. Very well done, but forged. The notarization stamp is from a notary public named Vincent Beaulieu in Mississauga. I've never heard of him. Sanjay is looking into him right now. My stomach dropped. There's more, Gerald continued. I checked your TD accounts. Over the past 4 months, there have been 17 e-transfers, totaling $43,000 sent to an account at Simply Financial. The account holder is the same numbered company. $43,000. Gone. And Harold, this is the part that concerns me most. Someone called the Riverview Long-Term Care Facility in Oakville last month and inquired about admitting you. They claimed to be your daughter-in-law acting on behalf of your son. They said you were showing signs of cognitive decline, confusion, wandering, forgetting to eat. They requested an intake assessment. I stood up from my chair. That is a lie. I am perfectly fine. I run my business. I do my own books. I drive. I cook. I know. But they're building a case, Harold. If they can get you declared incapable under the Substitute Decisions Act, they can take control of everything. Your properties, your accounts, your RRSP, your pension, everything. I sat back down. The room felt smaller. Who is behind the numbered company? Sanjay is working on that. We should know by tomorrow. But Harold, based on everything, based on the power of attorney, the transfers, and the long-term care inquiry, this is coordinated. This is not one person acting alone. I knew what he was saying. It wasn't just Jeanette. It was Kevin too. My son. My only child. The boy I taught to skate at the rink on Bloor Street. The boy I drove to hockey practice at 5 in the morning for 12 years. The boy I put through Western for his business degree. The boy who stood next to me at his mother's funeral and held my hand and said, "I'll always be here for you, Dad." That evening, I sat at the dinner table with Kevin and Jeanette. She had made roast chicken with mashed potatoes. Lily was in her high chair eating peas one at a time. Kevin poured me a glass of wine. "Dad, you seem quiet tonight. Everything all right?" I looked at him. My son. I searched his face for guilt, for shame, for anything that would tell me he knew what I knew. But he just looked normal, relaxed, maybe a little too relaxed. "Just tired," I said. "Long day." Jeanette touched my arm. "You've been working too hard, Dad. You should think about retiring properly. Let Kevin and me handle the properties. You've earned a rest." There it was. The same suggestion, phrased gently, wrapped in concern. I smiled. "Maybe you're right." She beamed. Kevin nodded. "Seriously, Dad, we could take over the management. You could enjoy your cottage, spend time with Lily. You don't need the stress. I'll think about it." I finished my dinner. I washed my plate. I kissed Lily goodnight. I went upstairs to my room, locked the door, and sat on the edge of the bed. My hands were shaking, but not from fear, from something colder. The next morning, Gerald called with the investigators' findings. The numbered company, 2847631 Ontario Incorporated, had 2 directors, Jeanette Tremblay Mitchell, my daughter-in-law, and Vincent Beaulieu, the notary who stamped the forged power of attorney. Sanjay dug further. Vincent Beaulieu had been disciplined twice by the Law Society of Ontario for professional misconduct. He had a pattern of facilitating fraudulent document transfers for elderly clients. He operated out of a small office above a nail salon in Mississauga. He charged flat fees in cash. He left no paper trail. "And Kevin?" I asked. Gerald paused. "Harold, Kevin's name isn't on any of the documents. Not the company, not the transfers, not the power of attorney. Legally, he's clean. But he knows. Probably, but knowing and participating are different things in court. Right now, We can prove Jeanette and Vincent. Kevin is harder. What do we do? First, I've already filed an emergency motion to freeze the property transfers. The court will grant it today. Second, you need a capacity assessment. I've booked you with Dr. Amira Shah at Mount Sinai. She's a geriatrician. The assessment is tomorrow morning at 9. Third, we need more evidence. Specifically, we need to connect Kevin or find direct proof of conspiracy between Jeanette and Vincent beyond the documents. How? You live with them, Harold. You have access they don't know about. Keep your eyes open. And Sanjay is going to follow Jeanette for the next week. I went to Mount Sinai the next morning. Dr. Shah was thorough. 4 hours of testing. Memory, reasoning, spatial awareness, language, executive function. At the end, she handed me a sealed report. Mr. Mitchell, you are in excellent cognitive health. Your scores are above average for your age group. There is no indication whatsoever of dementia or cognitive impairment. This report is legally certified. I thanked her. I put the envelope inside my jacket. The second piece. Over the next 10 days, I lived a double life. At breakfast, I was Dad. A little tired, a little slow, agreeable. At night, behind my locked door, I was something else entirely. I watched. I listened. I documented. On Thursday, Jeanette left her laptop open on the kitchen counter while she gave Lily a bath. I had 4 minutes. I found her email. I found messages to Vincent Beaulieu. Dozens of them. The old man doesn't suspect anything. Kevin says he's slowing down. This will be easy. Once the Kingston Road property clears, we move on to the Muskoka cottage. That one's worth at least $1.2 million. Vincent, can you prepare a second POA for the cottage? Same signature? I photographed every email, every attachment, every document she had saved in a folder called VM Project. VM, Vincent Mitchell. Our name, twisted into a project code for stealing my life. I put her laptop back exactly where it was. I went upstairs. My heart was pounding, but my mind was clear. On Saturday, Kevin asked me to go fishing at the cottage. Just the two of us. Like old times. I agreed. We drove up the 400 inches his truck. We didn't talk much. The leaves were turning. It was a beautiful October day. The kind of day Catherine would have loved. We took the boat out on the lake. Kevin cast his line. I cast mine. The water was still. Loons called in the distance. Dad, Kevin said without looking at me. Jeanette and I have been talking. We think it might be good for you to see someone. A doctor. Just a checkup. What kind of doctor? A specialist. For memory. You've been forgetting things lately. Leaving the stove on. Asking the same questions twice. I hadn't left the stove on. I hadn't asked anything twice. He was lying to my face while we sat in the boat his mother bought him for his 30th birthday. Maybe, I said. I'll think about it. Don't be stubborn about it, Dad. It's just a checkup. I reeled in my line. The hook was empty. Something had taken the bait without me feeling it. Just like my son had been doing for months. The following Wednesday, Sanjay delivered his surveillance report to Gerald's office. Photographs of Jeanette meeting Vincent at a coffee shop in Mississauga. Photographs of Vincent entering the land registry office with a brown envelope. Photographs of Jeanette visiting the TD branch on Bloor with a forged letter of authorization. And one photograph that broke something inside me. Kevin, my son, sitting in Vincent's car outside the nail salon. The two of them looking at documents on the dashboard. The date stamp was clear. Last Tuesday, the day before Kevin asked me to go fishing. Gerald spread the photographs across his desk. Harold, this is enough. We can go to the OPP fraud division today. All of it. Every piece. The emails, the photographs, the forged documents, the bank records, the capacity assessment. I'll prepare the complaint. But Harold, this means Kevin too. The photograph puts him with Vincent. Combined with the emails where Jeanette references Kevin's involvement, it's enough to include him. I closed my eyes. My son. I thought about him at 5 years old, standing on my feet while I taught him to waltz in the living room. I thought about him at 18, shaking my hand when he left for university. I thought about Catherine and what she would say. She would say, "Protect yourself." She would say the truth matters. She would say a man who robs his own father is not the boy we raised. Include him, I said. Include everyone. Gerald filed the complaint on a Friday morning. By Monday afternoon, the OPP arrested Vincent Beaulieu at his office. He did not resist. They seized his computer, his files, and 3 bankers' boxes of documents. Inside those boxes, they found forged papers for 6 other elderly victims across Ontario. Harold Mitchell was not the only one. On Tuesday morning, they arrested Jeanette at a grocery store on Royal York Road. She was holding a bag of Lily's favorite crackers when the officers approached her. She screamed. She cried. She said there was a mistake. There was no mistake. Kevin was arrested that same afternoon at his office in Mississauga. Gerald told me later that Kevin said one thing when they put the handcuffs on him. "My dad doesn't understand. We were trying to help him. Help me. By stealing my properties. By draining my accounts. By trying to put me in a care home I didn't need. By forging my signature. By lying to me every single day for over a year while eating dinner at my table and drinking wine I paid for. I was at home when the police came to the house to collect Jeanette's belongings as evidence. They took her laptop, her phone, files from the spare bedroom she used as an office. Lily was napping upstairs. I sat in the kitchen and watched them work. One of the officers, a young woman, stopped on her way out. "Mr. Mitchell, I just want you to know, what you did took real courage. A lot of people your age are afraid to report family. You may have saved those other 6 victims from losing everything." I nodded. I couldn't speak. After they left, Lily woke up. She came downstairs holding her stuffed bear. "Pop, where's Mummy?" "Mummy had to go somewhere, sweetheart, but Pop is here." I picked her up. She put her head on my shoulder. I stood in the kitchen holding my granddaughter, and I cried for the first time since Catherine's funeral. The next months were the hardest of my life. Not because of the legal process, Gerald handled that with precision, but because of the emptiness. The house felt different. Kevin's shoes were not by the door. Jeanette's coffee mug was not in the sink. Lily asked about her parents every day. I told her they were away for work. A lie, but a necessary one. She was 3. She didn't need to carry this. I applied for temporary custody through Family and Children's Services. Gerald helped me navigate the paperwork. The court granted it within 2 weeks, given the circumstances. Lily stayed with me. I enrolled her in a daycare program at St. George's. I learned to braid her hair by watching YouTube videos. I packed her lunches with the crusts cut off, because she didn't like crusts. I read her Goodnight Moon every night, sometimes twice. Gerald kept me informed of every development. Vincent Beaulieu cooperated with the Crown prosecutor immediately. He gave names, dates, bank account numbers, the full network. He had been running this operation for 4 years across southern Ontario, targeting elderly property owners, always using a family member as the inside person. In exchange for his testimony, the Crown offered him a reduced sentence. Jeanette's lawyer tried to negotiate. She claimed Kevin pressured her, that she was afraid of him, that she was a victim too. The emails told a different story. "The old man doesn't suspect anything" was not the language of a victim. Kevin's lawyer argued that Kevin had no direct involvement in the forgery, that he never signed any fraudulent document, that the photograph of him in Vincent's car was circumstantial. The Crown prosecutor presented the evidence methodically. The emails referencing Kevin by name, the fishing trip where he tried to convince me to see a doctor I didn't need, the bank records showing transfers to a company his wife directed, the phone records showing 47 calls between Kevin and Vincent over 3 months. Kevin took the stand at his preliminary hearing. His lawyer asked him one question. "Did you know about the plan to transfer your father's properties?" Kevin looked at me. For the first time since this began, he looked directly at me. "I knew," he said. "I knew, and I didn't stop it." The courtroom went quiet. His lawyer closed his eyes. Kevin continued, even though no one asked him to. "My dad worked his whole life. He built everything from nothing, and I watched my wife and that man plan to take it from him. And I told myself it was for the family, that he was getting old, that he wouldn't notice, that we deserved it because we took care of him. But we didn't take care of him. We used him. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Dad. I didn't respond. I couldn't. I just sat there and let the words land on me like stones. The trial lasted 3 days. Vincent Beaulieu pleaded guilty to 12 counts of fraud over $5,000, forgery, and conspiracy. The judge sentenced him to 8 years at a federal institution. He was also permanently barred from practicing as a notary. Jeanette was found guilty of fraud, conspiracy, and uttering forged documents. She received 5 years. The judge noted her active and enthusiastic participation in the scheme, specifically citing the emails where she referred to me as the old man. Kevin pleaded guilty to conspiracy and fraud. His admission on the stand helped him, but only so much. He received 3 years at a provincial facility. The judge told him, "Mr. Mitchell, you had every opportunity to stop this. You had every opportunity to warn your father. Instead, you sat at his table and helped plan his ruin. The court cannot overlook that." I sat through every minute of the sentencing. I did not cry. I did not react. I just listened and let it be done. Afterward, a reporter from the Toronto Star asked me for a comment. I stood on the courthouse steps with Gerald beside me. "I built my life in this country," I said. "I came here with nothing. I worked honest years. I raised a family. I trusted the people closest to me, and they chose to betray that trust. But I want other seniors to hear this. You are not helpless. You are not too old to fight. If someone is taking advantage of you, even if it's your own family, speak up. Find a lawyer. Go to the police. You deserve to be protected. Your life's work deserves to be protected." Gerald drove me home. We sat in the driveway for a few minutes without speaking. Then he said, "You did the right thing, Harold. It doesn't feel right. It never does when it's family." I went inside. Lily was with the babysitter, building a tower out of blocks. She knocked it down when she saw me and laughed. "Pop, Pop, I made it fall. I saw that, sweetheart. Want to build it again?" "Yes, bigger." We built it bigger. We built it 3 times, and she knocked it down 3 times, laughing harder each time. I sat on the carpet with my granddaughter and thought about how strange life is, how the people who were supposed to protect me tried to destroy me, and the person I'm supposed to protect became the one who saved me. Not with words, not with actions, just by existing, just by needing me. 6 months after the trial, I received a letter from Kevin. It was written on lined paper in pencil. "Dad, I don't expect you to write back. I don't expect you to forgive me. I just want you to know that I think about what I did every single day. I think about Mom. I think about what she would say. I think about Lily growing up without me there. I think about the look on your face in the courtroom when I said I knew. I will carry that look for the rest of my life. I am sorry. Not because I got caught, because I became someone Mom would have been ashamed of. Your son, Kevin." I read the letter twice. I folded it and put it in the drawer of my desk, next to Catherine's last birthday card to me. I didn't write back. There was nothing to say that the silence didn't say better. I sold the house in Etobicoke. Too many memories, too many ghosts. I bought a smaller place in Port Credit, near the lake. 3 bedrooms. One for me, one for Lily, one for whoever needs it. I kept the cottage in Muskoka. Lily loves it there. She chases the loons along the dock and screams with delight when they dive under the water. I hired a property manager for the rental units. A young woman named Priya who reminds me she started junior kindergarten this September. I walked her to school on the first day. She wore a red backpack almost as big as she was. At the door, she turned around and waved. "Bye, Pop Pop. Don't be sad. I'll be back." I wasn't sad. I was the opposite of sad. I was standing on a sidewalk in Port Credit in the September sun, watching my granddaughter walk into her future, and I was alive. I was healthy. I was free. I had my name. I had my properties. I had my dignity, and I had earned all of it. Not by shouting, not by breaking things, not by losing control, but by being patient, by being precise, by being quiet when every part of me wanted to scream. That night, after Lily was asleep, I sat on the back porch with a cup of tea. The lake was dark and still. A few stars were out. I thought about everything. The phone call from my neighbor. The hotel in the original story was a hotel manager, but mine was Margaret next door, 81 years old, with eyes like a hawk and a moral compass that never wavered. She saved my life with a phone call she almost didn't make. I thought about Gerald, who worked nights and weekends without billing me extra because he said, "This is what friends do." Harold. I thought about Sanjay, who followed Jeanette through strip malls and parking lots for 10 days in the rain. I thought about Dr. Shah, who certified what I already knew, that my mind was mine and no one had the right to take it from me. And I thought about Catherine. I think about her every day, what she would say, how she would handle this. She was stronger than me in every way that mattered. She would have known sooner. She would have acted faster. She would have looked Kevin in the eye and said, "I didn't raise you for this." But she wasn't here, so I had to be strong enough for both of us. I finished my tea. I went inside. I checked on Lily. She was sleeping on her stomach with one arm hanging off the bed and her stuffed bear on the floor. I picked up the bear and tucked it next to her. She murmured something I couldn't hear. I went to my room. I lay down. I closed my eyes. The house was quiet. The lake was quiet. Everything was at peace. I had lost a son. I had lost the future I imagined for my family. I had lost $43,000 and 18 months of trust and countless nights of sleep. But I had not lost myself. That was the one thing they could not take. No matter how many documents they forged or how many lies they told, they could not take the man I am. And lying there in the dark, in my new house, in my new life, with my granddaughter sleeping down the hall, I understood something. The victory was not the trial. The victory was not the sentencing. The victory was not even the moment I said, "Include everyone," in Gerald's office. The victory was this quiet, this peace, this ordinary Tuesday night where nothing was wrong and no one was lying and the only sounds were the lake and the wind and a little girl breathing in her sleep. That was the victory. The silent one, the only one that matters.